All right, so why don't you tell us about the guitar you're playing right now?
So this one is basically a fully chambered guitar. So it's one piece of mahogany and then quilted maple top, thin, put on top with a block right here and here for the Bigsby. And then I wound these two humbuckers, kind of half single coils. I've been doing that a little bit, so to give it more airiness of how I imagine a PAF in a way of...
Well, we were just talking about that. When you put this guitar in the middle, it sounds like PAF.
Yeah, so
what we were talking about before, where
has that clarity.
PAFs have a thing, right? Like,
yeah, like this one, and they don't change too much
when you go from
So,
radical change.
And then in the middle, how's that like open?
In the middle is shit.
I've been playing in the middle most of the time.
Yeah, the middle on that guitar. We were just discussing that before we rolled this.
Yeah.
Like, as you get older or whatever, as your taste changes, but really good guitars sound good in the middle.
I never would have thought.
Me either. I was never a middle guy.
That's why I would buy juniors.
Yeah.
I don't even want the option.
Yeah, I was never a middle guy, and
No.
now all of a sudden I'm becoming a middle guy.
I only play in the middle.
But that guitar in the middle, you heard that in 2 seconds. It has two pickups.
It's like chimey.
And you could roll down on each one and get all this other stuff.
Exactly. And in the neck.
Sounds great.
Right.
But now there's just more.
Yeah, and I like
that.
to have a bright neck pickup, and that's a lot with, I think, I've been doing these peaks, so I can get the neck pickup a little bit further. I can cheat it back a little bit.
Interesting.
So normally on a Les Paul or whatever, the neck pickup is probably here, like you
Right.
can think about it to the fret. So I've been doing these peaks so it doesn't look so crazy that it's
Interesting. Wow, that's so
snuck
cool.
back
But yeah, a lot of
further.
guitars were set back a lot of times because the neck tenon was there.
Exactly.
But it has a different sound. That's why there was that really interesting.
Like an SG Special.
Right.
The neck pickup is
down
in the
further.
middle. They're like close together.
And you know what's funny is those Gibsons where the pickup is just in the middle.
Yeah, the
And everyone's like, right, with just one pickup in the middle. And when we were young, we were like, oh, that's the stupidest thing. And then you play them now, you're like, sounds
I want one of
amazing.
Just mellow out, man. Get
Yeah. And then there was the one guitar where it moves.
Yeah.
What was that thing I had in my shop recently? It was a Dan Armstrong.
Yep.
You know, like thing. It was an Ampeg or just a Dan Armstrong guitar where the pickup slid. And it was cool. I mean, you'd slide to here and like, wow, it sounds
It's like
really
those
cool.
ripper basses.
Right. That was another idea,
Yeah.
you know, like, but there was like the Dan Armstrong one was on these little like things. It was a cool idea.
And the Rick Turners you can spin.
Right. But it's a cool concept.
Yeah.
You know, like that pickup being there. So, like, listen how good that sounds.
Like that's a bright neck pickup.
That's a really good sounding guitar. Like, that sounds like a Tom Petty guitar. So, like, you get that sound out of a Gretsch or something like
Totally.
that. You know, like some guys can get that sound out of things. Like Mike Campbell could get that sound.
Yeah, and that's why I've been loving winding pickups because you can really do anything.
Right, then you could really
And with the
dial
no
in things.
holes, I can get them quieter, and they
Right, yeah,
gives it
these
a bit
pickups
more
are quiet. So that's an old
mid-range.
vintage amp.
Yeah, and that's pretty loud.
And this model's called the what? You're supposed to know that. It doesn't have to be called that. It's just that thing.
It's this thing.
It's-
I have a name for it, but I don't remember it.
Who cares?
Yeah, I love this one.
That one is totally dope.
Yeah.
And why don't we move on to this one since I'm holding it, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
You don't have to do that. That's an old wives' tale.
So this one I made for myself a few years ago with some wood I got from Brian Monty, our buddy, and an old piece of redwood. I've just always wanted a really big hollow body, so it's really loud.
Yeah,
it's like
listen,
redwood
okay.
top and.
And what's the characteristic of redwood?
I've
I've seen some people have built some stuff out of redwood.
It's
but
nice and warm. It's almost like a mahogany. But
Is
it's
that right?
got a brightness to it, I find, which is nice.
Yeah, because I've seen people do redwood
Yeah,
guitars.
yeah,
from
yeah.
and you're
Like those Ronin guitars are
Redwood,
they're great.
right. Yeah, they make
Izzy
cool
and
shit, those guys.
They're,
Yeah,
they're
those guys are
fucking
awesome.
great. But yeah, so this one's got really thick maple sides
Right,
that
yeah.
I did. So I cut it down the middle, like a huge 2-inch piece of maple, solid, and then I band-sawed it around. So it's got like 1/2-inch sides, and I glued it back together. And then glued the back, did bracing, glued the top, did bracing. Then I did a couple sound posts, so they're kind of touching. So this
It's
one's
almost
really...
like stretched in some weird way.
Yeah.
But
So
it's
then
properly
this
built.
one's got
Yeah.
volume and tone for each pickup.
I see. I think that's the hip.
It's fun because each one has a different
Right, yeah. 3
characteristic
different
to it.
guitars. That's just the neck.
That's just the neck.
See, the neck becomes super clear.
Yeah. And then what I like to do is do the neck and the bridge.
It has a really different sound with those strings, too.
Yeah.
The strings are flat.
No, these are rounds also.
Right, but they're flat.
Oh, yeah,
down,
yeah.
like-
And that's a lot with, I think these are the Labella 11 to 52s.
right, they had this very like distinct sound.
Yeah.
Well, labellas have a different sound.
Definitely. A lot of just the materials that they use.
Yeah, don't sound, and your guitars weren't traditional. Like this, you know, it's a different kind of
Yeah,
guitar.
yeah.
But those strings really match that guitar.
Yeah, I love them. They did the benders now are what they're doing, and it's like the old construction from the 60s.
Is that right?
Yeah, they're awesome. So they used to make strings for Fender and
Right.
Ernie Ball and for everybody, and then so yeah, now they just got their old constructions and basically redoing them again. They're
Wow.
awesome. Yeah. So that's what these are. So this is with all of the pickups.
They sound like what would be like
Totally. Yeah.
That's cool. See, I love that. Those are all like super usable
Yeah.
sounds. Like, you know, usually like you get a guitar and it has one good sound.
Yeah,
You
this
know?
has a few.
And the rest is ass, so you don't want to use it. You know?
Yeah.
But that thing's all happening.
And it's
you know?
perfect for touring in the hotel.
Yeah, it's
Then
loud
it's
as shit.
acoustic.
No, the one I want to hear.
Yeah.
That one.
So this one is the one that I play live mainly. Right here. You hold that one. This one. Yeah, this one I love.
That one's super lively. You can hear it, right?
Yeah.
And that has flats on it.
These have flats.
Right.
These are the strings that I mainly use. They're the Labella gold flats. So me and Eric were talking a bunch about it, and we did this construction of, I think it's a steel core wrapped with brass. So they're really bright, but then have like this warmth top to it, which is nice. And then this is like a soap bar P90 I wound, but it has a dummy coil underneath it.
Right, so it's
So it's a little quieter.
mellower.
Yeah.
remember Danny used to like sell those Gaia tones, like
Yeah.
that stuff that was used on those spaghetti western
Yeah,
kind of
yeah,
things.
yeah,
Except they sound like if those guitars really sounded good.
yeah.
Which they really don't.
No.
They have weird pickups and they sound weird.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And guys could use them in a spaghetti western, but you wouldn't use
That's
it in a
about it.
gig.
No.
It would sound stupid and feedback
Yeah,
the whole time.
but you have it in your.
This sounds like those guitars
Yeah,
were
these
real
are like
guitars.
almost microphonic. Is
Right.
kind of what I was
but
going for.
they have that odd. They have real clarity that those guitars
Yeah,
never
yeah.
had. Either.
I play it here mostly. Jeff got me into these picks. Well, I always used them, but the 63s.
I remember we used to sell shitloads of those.
You get them lighter, so you get the snap.
Yeah.
So
your whole guitar style and these guitars was built around your band, really.
Yeah,
so
kind of.
That's what your band sounds like.
Yeah.
You know?
So it's worked out perfect. But yeah, you just get the really clean, and that's why I use flats too. I feel like each note.
Yeah, well, a lot of people don't realize like the Beatles were playing a flat on string.
Everyone, there weren't really rounds.
Right. You know, like
around.
Yeah, and that's why those guitars sounded the way they do. Kind of dead sounding and they're like rock and roll.
Really dead. And
yeah,
just
they're
like
going
percussive. Yeah.
They have a different sound than rock and roll strings, which came later anyway.
Totally.
You know, like it's
Or
more of
like
like
nines.
Yeah,
Through a
like, that all
Marshall.
came way later.
Yeah.
You know, like but you know, like those guys had strings like this.
Yeah, big flats.
Right. Exactly. You know, like,
Totally.
It was a different guitar style.
It was really percussive.
Yeah.
You're just like
Yeah, it's a
each
different
note
thing.
was
Was like a drum.
pronounced. Yeah. And then Then the neck pickup I did also with no poles.
Right.
And then had it really potted basically to
Right.
fit it with wax.
Yeah, so it really has clarity. Where like it's hard to get clarity out of a humbucker in the neck position.
Yeah.
You know, like,
and then
that
also
was the-
this one is pushed back,
Right, same thing.
and then it's a thin cedar top.
Well, that makes sense. If you pull it back a tiny bit, it's going to be treblier.
Yeah. So I've always kind of done that, just like
Right, this one you can see clearly now.
yeah.
From this angle, it's
Like you can see where just from the fret to
right.
there.
Like if this wasn't there, and that's a considerable distance.
Couple inches,
So
yeah.
you know, like so it's going to sound different over there.
Yeah, definitely.
And maybe that's why a lot of those pickups just sound so muddy. You know, like
Definitely.
because you know I never like on Les Pauls I never once used a neck pickup.
Because also
until I
there
got
the
real Les
strings
Paul.
are vibrating
Really
a
move.
lot more
Right.
than over here. It's a lot tighter.
Right. That's why this is more troubling.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, fun. Here, you want to play this one?
Yes. It's because I use 9 regular wound strings. But you mostly play quarterly, really. Like,
I do a lot of both because Matt's been playing guitar
oh, so you're playing more.
too. So, but I'm playing a lot more chords and then leads on top.
Right.
There's a lot of delays.
Right. You guys do echo plexes.
Yeah.
You know.
I can't play without a Bixby now.
Yeah. Well, then you just want to do this.
It's just because it's like the what I was saying. It's like just like a human voice.
Right. And your band stuff is very atmospheric, sort of.
Yeah.
So you're playing behind a great singer with a great band with a really good rhythm section. So you're coloring all that.
Yeah. There's a lot of yeah.
See it in color. The French pickup's great. Listen to The middle is the place you want to be.
Yeah.
Because the both pickups. I mean,
They're
that's the
kind
thing,
of
both
also-
pickups sound amazing. And you used to think you couldn't put a humbucker and a P90 in the same guitar.
Yeah, but
One
also
would
normally
overpower
it'd
the
be
other.
opposite too. Normally you'd put the P90 in the neck.
The other way, right? And then, but this works perfectly.
Yeah.
I mean, this sounds really. It's really like early rock and roll. It
Yeah.
sounds like Bo Diddley.
Yeah.
So, you know, Buddy Holly, or all that
Totally.
stuff. You know, those guys were playing flatlands on like a
the single coils.
Stratocaster.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're awesome. This is awesome.
I love that one.
Awesome. And I think that's all of our Carbonetti guitars. So this was a great pleasure to go through these guitars.
Best day hanging.
And we hope you all enjoyed seeing these amazing Carbonetti guitars.
All right.
This guitar's dope.